On May 19, 1977, a sunny spring day in California, 20-year-old Colleen Stan set out on what should have been a routine hitchhiking trip. This journey would lead her into a nightmare that would last for 7 long years, forever changing her life and challenging our understanding of human resilience. Colleen was heading from her home in Eugene, Oregon, to a friend's birthday party in Northern California. As she stood by the roadside, a blue Dodge Colt pulled over. Inside were Cameron and Janice Hooker, a young couple with their infant daughter.
What makes this case so chilling is how ordinary it seemed at first. A young couple offering a ride to a fellow traveler. It's the kind of everyday kindness we hope to see in the world. But behind that facade of normalcy lurked something truly sinister.
Reassured by the presence of a woman and child, Colleen accepted the ride. But as the miles rolled by, Cameron Hooker deviated from the route and pulled into a remote area. In a terrifying instant, Colleen's world changed forever. Cameron Hooker produced a knife, threatening her life. He then forced her into a homemade wooden box, designed to restrict her movement and muffle any sound she might make. For the next 7 years, Colleen Stan would vanish from the world she knew. Her family, left without answers, could only imagine the worst. But the reality was far more horrifying than anyone could have guessed. Colleen's new reality was a coffin-sized box hidden under the bed Cameron Hooker shared with his wife. For up to 23 hours a day, this cramped, dark space became her entire world. When she wasn't confined to the box, she faced severe physical and sexual abuse at the hands of her captor. But Colleen's story takes an even more bizarre turn. As months turned into years, Cameron Hooker began allowing Colleen limited freedom. She would do household chores and at one point even held a job. Yet she didn't run. She didn't cry for help.
The human mind has remarkable survival mechanisms. In situations of extreme trauma, like what Colleen endured, the psyche can create elaborate coping strategies. This case is often cited as an extreme example of Stockholm Syndrome, where captives develop a psychological alliance with their captors as a survival strategy.
There is another layer to this situation. What kept Colleen from running might have had to do with the shadowy organization Hooker called the Company, whose existence he convinced Colleen of. He claimed this all-seeing, all-powerful organization was monitoring her every move. According to Hooker, any attempt to escape or disobey would result in harm, not just to her, but to her family as well. This psychological manipulation, coupled with years of abuse, created an almost impenetrable mental prison for Colleen. As Colleen endured this living nightmare, life went on for her family. Birthdays, holidays, milestones, all passed with an empty chair at the table, a missing face in family photos. The not knowing, the constant hope mixed with dread, created its own form of torture for those left behind.
In my years on the force, I've seen a lot of missing persons cases, but this one was different. The length of time, the circumstances of her disappearance, it all pointed to something extraordinary, and not in a good way.
But as with all secrets, cracks began to appear. The key to Colleen's eventual freedom would come from an unexpected source, her captor's wife, Janice Hooker. Janice, herself a victim of Cameron Hooker's abuse, had been complicit in Colleen's kidnapping. But as the years went by, the weight of her guilt grew too heavy to bear. In 1984, 7 years into Colleen's captivity, Janice made a decision that would change everything. She revealed to Colleen that the Company was a lie, a fabrication designed to keep her compliant. But the road to freedom wasn't as simple as walking out the door. Despite learning the truth, Colleen's reaction to her newfound freedom was complicated by years of psychological manipulation and trauma. The idea that she could safely leave was not something she could immediately accept or act upon.
In cases of long-term captivity like Colleen's, the psychological bonds formed with the captor are incredibly complex. Even when told they can leave, victims often struggle with fear, disbelief, and a distorted sense of loyalty. It's a gradual process of coming to terms with reality.
It took time for Colleen to process this new information and gather the courage to act. The psychological shackles that had held her for so long didn't disappear overnight. In August 1984, months after learning the truth, Colleen Stan finally took her first tentative steps towards freedom. With Janice Hooker's help, she left the Hooker household. But even then, the journey was far from over.
Many people expect that once a captive is physically free, everything goes back to normal. But for survivors like Colleen, the process of truly reclaiming their freedom and their lives is a long and challenging journey.
When Colleen finally returned to her family, the news shocked the nation. But the full story of her ordeal wouldn't come to light immediately. The psychological trauma of her experience made it difficult for Colleen to immediately report what had happened, or even fully accept her freedom. When the truth finally came to light, it shocked the nation. Cameron Hooker was arrested and put on trial. In a courtroom drama that captivated the country, Janice Hooker testified against her husband in exchange for immunity. The trial revealed the full horror of what Colleen had endured. Prosecutors detailed the extreme physical and psychological abuse she had suffered. The jury heard about the box under the bed, the elaborate lies about the company, and the years of torture and sexual assault.
I've been a part of the criminal justice system for more than 3 decades. This case is among the few that continues to haunt me. The definition of survivor is Colleen Stan. No one can truly understand what Colleen Stan experienced in her 7 years of captivity as a sexual slave. This story is haunting. Colleen is an amazing woman and survivor.
Beth Karas's words underscore the extraordinary nature of this case. It stands out even to those who have seen the darkest sides of human behavior, a testament to both the depths of cruelty Colleen endured and the heights of resilience she demonstrated. As the trial progressed, the full scope of Cameron Hooker's crimes became clear. The prosecution built a case that would ensure he would never again be free to harm another person. In 1985, Cameron Hooker was found guilty on multiple charges, including kidnapping, rape, and sexual assault. The judge, recognizing the severity of his crimes, sentenced him to 104 years in prison. But Colleen Stan's story doesn't end with her rescue or Hooker's conviction. Her journey of healing and reclaiming her life is perhaps the most inspiring chapter of all. Today, Colleen Stan continues to heal and grow. She's become an advocate for other survivors, sharing her story to help others understand the complexities of trauma and the possibilities for healing.
I learned I could go anywhere in my mind. You just remove yourself from the real situation going on and you go somewhere else. You go somewhere pleasant, around people you love, whatever makes you happy.